The year is 1912. In a shadowy transaction conducted in complete secrecy near Rome, rare book dealer Wilfred Voynich examines 30 medieval manuscripts he's just acquired from cash-strapped Jesuits. The Italian government still considers these books their property, so everything must happen in darkness. As Voynich opens one particular volume, he freezes. Before him lies something that shouldn't exist. Page after page of flowing text in a script no human has ever deciphered, illustrated with plants that don't grow on Earth and astronomical diagrams that map no known cosmos. The writing moves with natural confidence across the vellum, as if its author were completely at home in this impossible language. Every letter is deliberate, every word seems meaningful, yet together they form the most impenetrable code in human history. This isn't Voynich's first encounter with dangerous secrets. Born Michał Habdank Voynich in Russian-occupied Lithuania, he'd survived Siberian imprisonment for revolutionary activities, escaped to London, and built an empire trading in humanity's forgotten knowledge. But this manuscript would become his obsession and his legacy, a document so mysterious that more than a century later, it continues to mock every attempt at understanding. The physical manuscript tells its own story. Carbon dating places its creation between 1404 and 1438, genuine medieval vellum from the early 15th century, roughly 23.5 by 16.2 centimeters. It contains around 240 surviving pages, though evidence suggests approximately 30 pages have vanished over the centuries. The vellum itself bears the hallmarks of Northern Italian or Central European craftsmanship, made from calfskin in methods typical of the period. What makes this dating so significant is that it rules out many of the more exotic theories about the manuscript's origins. This isn't some ancient text from classical antiquity or a Renaissance-era creation. It emerged during a specific period of medieval history, when Europe was experiencing significant intellectual and cultural changes. The physical evidence tells us other intriguing details. The manuscript shows signs of having been handled frequently over centuries. There are stains, worn edges, and small tears that speak to its use rather than mere storage. The binding, though later than the original text, suggests the manuscript was valued enough to be professionally rebound at some point in its history. Under magnification, the ink reveals fascinating characteristics. It appears to have been applied consistently without the usual variations in color or thickness that might indicate different writing sessions or materials. The text flows naturally, without the hesitations or corrections typical of someone working in an unfamiliar script. Whoever wrote this was completely comfortable with the language system they were using. The manuscript's illustrations provide our most direct window into its mysterious contents, yet they only deepen the puzzle. The largest section appears botanical, filled with detailed drawings of plants. But here's where things get strange. Despite centuries of botanical analysis, scholars have identified very few of these plants with certainty. Some appear to be fantasy creations, combining elements from different real plants in ways that suggest symbolic rather than literal representation. One botanical drawing appears to show a sunflower. Impossible, since Europeans wouldn't encounter sunflowers until Columbus returned from the Americas, decades after this manuscript's creation. Yet closer examination reveals it's not quite right, combining sunflower-like features with other botanical elements that match no known species. The astronomical section presents equally puzzling imagery. There are circular diagrams that resemble zodiac wheels, but with unfamiliar symbols and configurations. Star charts appear alongside these wheels, but they don't match any known celestial mapping system from the medieval period. Perhaps most famous are the biological illustrations showing small female figures in what appear to be pools, baths, or elaborate plumbing systems. These nymphs, as researchers have dubbed them, are drawn in a naturalistic style that suggests medieval medical or alchemical illustration. They're connected by tubes and pipes in complex networks that might represent bodily systems, distillation apparatus, or purely symbolic structures. The figures themselves vary in posture and position, some appearing to emerge from or dive into green-tinted water. The pharmaceutical section shows what might be recipes or preparation instructions, with text accompanied by drawings of containers, routes, and what could be for processing equipment. But without understanding the text, we can only guess at the actual procedures being described. Computer analysis has revealed that the letter frequency follows patterns similar to known languages. Some characters appear much more frequently than others, and the distribution follows what linguists call Zipf's law, a pattern found in all natural human languages. The text shows other characteristics of real language as well. Words appear to have prefixes and suffixes in consistent patterns. Certain letter combinations appear frequently, while others never occur, suggesting genuine orthographic rules. The average word length is similar to Romance languages, and the text flows naturally without the artificial regularity that might indicate a simple substitution cipher. Yet, every attempt to decode the text has failed. Cryptographers have tested it against every known medieval cipher system. Linguists have compared it to Latin, Greek, Hebrew, Arabic, and numerous European vernacular languages. The patterns are there, the statistical signatures of language, but the meaning remains locked away. One particularly intriguing aspect is the complete absence of corrections in the text. Medieval scribes typically made mistakes and corrected them, but the Voynich Manuscript shows almost no evidence of this. Either the scribe was extraordinarily careful, copying from a clear exemplar, or they were writing in a language so familiar that errors were rare. The Voynich Manuscript fits into this tradition while standing utterly apart from it. Its structure resembles known categories of medieval scientific manuscripts, but its content remains unique. The botanical section follows the format of medical herbals, complete with individual plant illustrations and accompanying text that presumably describes their properties and uses. The astronomical section mirrors the layout of medieval astronomical compendia, yet the specific content matches nothing in the known medieval tradition. One persistent theory connects the manuscript to the court of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolf II in Prague. Rudolf, who ruled from 1576 to 1612, was famous for his interest in the occult, alchemy, and mysterious artifacts. His court attracted scholars, con artists, and genuine researchers in equal measure. John Dee, the English mathematician and occultist, spent time at Rudolf's court, as did many other figures associated with esoteric knowledge. According to some accounts, Rudolf acquired the manuscript and believed it to be the work of Roger Bacon, the 13th century English philosopher and experimental scientist. This attribution was almost certainly wrong. The carbon dating places the manuscript 2 centuries after Bacon's death, but it suggests the manuscript was already considered ancient and significant by the late 16th century. From Rudolf's court, the manuscript apparently passed through various hands before ending up in the Jesuit college where Voynich found it. The modern era of Voynich research began in earnest during World War II, when William Friedman, America's leading cryptographer, assembled a team to crack the manuscript's code. Friedman had broken numerous enemy codes during his career and approached the Voynich manuscript with the full arsenal of 20th century cryptographic analysis. His team applied frequency analysis, pattern recognition, and every known decryption technique. They created comprehensive indices of every symbol, word, and phrase in the manuscript. After years of intensive work, Friedman's team reached a startling conclusion. If the Voynich manuscript is a cipher, it's unlike any cipher system ever devised. The computer age brought new possibilities. Researchers have subjected the manuscript to statistical analysis that would have been impossible in Friedman's era. Yet, the fundamental mystery remains. Recent years have seen citizen science projects where amateur enthusiasts work alongside professional researchers, crowdsourcing the immense task of analyzing every detail of the manuscript. High-resolution digital scans have revealed previously invisible details in the illustrations and text. Spectral imaging has uncovered faded elements and shown how the manuscript was constructed. Some researchers now believe the manuscript might represent a constructed language, an artificial linguistic system created for specific purposes. Medieval scholars did experiment with artificial languages, though usually for philosophical or mystical reasons, rather than practical communication. If the Voynich manuscript is such a creation, it would be remarkably sophisticated, incorporating the statistical properties of natural language while maintaining its own internal logic. Other theories suggest the manuscript might be a sophisticated hoax created by someone with deep knowledge of medieval manuscripts and linguistic patterns. However, this theory faces significant challenges. Perhaps most intriguingly, some researchers propose that the manuscript represents a genuine medieval attempt to record knowledge in a secret or constructed script. Medieval scholars did occasionally create new writing systems, either for secrecy or because existing scripts were inadequate for their purposes. The manuscript might preserve genuine medieval knowledge, perhaps herbal medicine, alchemical procedures, or astronomical observations, encoded in a system designed to protect its secrets. Today, the Voynich manuscript resides resides in the Voynich Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University, where it's been since 1969. The library has made high-resolution digital scans freely available, allowing researchers worldwide to study every detail of this enigmatic document. This democratization of access has sparked new waves of research and theory. What makes the Voynich Manuscript so enduringly fascinating isn't just its mystery, but what it represents about the limits of human knowledge. Here is a document created by human hands, using recognizable materials and techniques, yet it remains as incomprehensible to us as if it had fallen from another world. It reminds us that the medieval period, often dismissed as the Dark Ages, was actually a time of sophisticated intellectual activity, much of which remains hidden from our understanding. In our digital age, when we assume that sufficient computing power can solve any puzzle, the Voynich Manuscript maintains its secrets. It suggests that some mysteries might require not just technological tools, but fundamental shifts in how we think about language, knowledge, and the medieval mind. Perhaps the key to understanding the Voynich Manuscript lies not in breaking its code, but in understanding the worldview of whoever created it. Until that breakthrough comes, if it ever does, the Voynich Manuscript remains what Wilfrid Voynich found it to be more than a century ago: the most mysterious book in the world, a genuine, unbreakable code that continues to challenge our assumptions about what we can know and understand about the human past. In a world where mysteries seem increasingly rare, the Voynich Manuscript preserves the essential human experience of wonder in the face of the truly unknown.